So that allows us to segue perfectly into the story that you already mentioned, which is the folks at iVerify. Matthias Freilingsdorf, VP of Research at iVerify, noticed that with iOS 26, this shutdown.log file that you guys have used in the past to kind of be an artifact, and one key artifact in detection of iOS malware is now no longer available. It's kind of like was this silent witness, this final shutdown thing. You would take a snapshot and you would have this access to this. With iOS 26, Apple has either wittingly or unwittingly, we don't know yet, blocked this capability. Can you explain a little bit, Costin, and what have you used this shutdown.log? How important is it? The removal of it, how much does it affect not only your own class, but your ability to do forensics?
I mean, yes. So shutdown log is a very important artifact on iOS. We've been using this for years. Why? Because whenever you reboot your phone, and remember, one of my top recommendations, if you care about your iOS device security, is reboot every day. So what this does is, if you reboot every day, every time you reboot, it writes a list of running processes at the time of shutdown to this shutdown log file. So that means that if you have some persistence malware or like files that shouldn't be running in your system, which are actually running as processes in your system, they will get returned to this shutdown log. So over time, this grows every time you reboot. This file gets bigger, bigger, bigger. So like if you, let's say, if you do like a reboot every month, after a couple of years, maybe it will be in a range of hundreds of kilobytes. But if you reboot every day, it will be megabytes. Still not too big of an issue when iPhones have 256 gigabytes, 512 gigabytes. So it's not a real problem, the size at least. So this file, when you get it from out of the phone with a sysdeg, it allows you to go back in time and check for IOCs. So if there's known IOCs that you have, let's say for Pegasus or pretty much any other stuff, you can actually search them in this file. And I have seen with my own eyes, I've seen shutdown log files which held traces of Pegasus infection. So it was pretty visible. One of my former colleagues, Maher Yamut, he built an open source tool to analyze it. And I built my own tool with a database, like a whitelisting database behind it and other heuristics. And it's very, very powerful. So it makes absolutely no sense to me from a threat hunting point of view to kill this fantastic feature. Now, if your goal, let's like be the conspiracy, Ryan.
I have conspiracy questions a lot.
You have your conspiracy hat. Like, if you want to do the conspiracy side of things, then let's say, well, if you are having an issue with people complaining about malware infections and finding them this way, then removing this file or just deleting it on every boot or truncating it on every boot is a nice way of getting rid of all those complaints. So like no infection, well, no traces, no infection. No infection, no problem. No problem, stock up.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, even for conspiracy, Ryan, that's a little bit of a stretch. Let me just throw it to Juanito. Do you think this is a performance thing? It's intended for system hygiene, performance, storage space, or an oversight maybe? Or do you, like, question is, does Apple know that shutdown.log is a key tool used to track
Oh,
Pegasus?
there's no way they don't know. At the same time, is this a intentional thing? Like I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on this update, given that it's like a whole new, like iOS 26 is like a whole new thing. But I'm curious, like, does the next update keep doing that, or does it fix it? Right? Like if
Do
they
they
roll
roll
that
back it
back
as
and
like
it's like,
some sort of error?
yeah, like an oopsie, right? You go, not our bad. We didn't really
Oops.
mean to do that. It's like, all right. I mean, that kind of shit happens, right? It's still unfortunate, but it happens, right?
Why are we
But
giving
I don't
Apple the
know.
benefit
Like
of the
with
doubt?
Apple, we look. I don't know. I don't know that we need to
Because
on
we
this
complain,
particular.
we complain
Yeah,
bitterly that the one thing we
yeah,
don't like about the Apple and the iOS ecosystem is that they don't allow us to get logs and they don't allow us to do our own forensics. They don't. And here
yeah.
we are, they're removing another one that Costin and all the other guys are saying it's one, a crucial part of it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's not like I'm dying to cut them some slack. I'm just saying that mistakes happen, right? So, and frankly, even if they did it on purpose, maybe I'm hoping that giving them that little bit of slack, if enough people are pissed about it, which whatever, like that they'll just be like, oh, no, no, we didn't mean to do that. Our bad, right? I don't know. Like, I don't want to think of them on some level. I really don't want to get locked into thinking of Apple as a purposefully like as a purposefully obfuscating entity when it comes to these things, because if I'm honest, there's not a good world for us where we are fighting against the ecosystem maintainer for visibility, and that's already where we're at. So it's one thing if they don't make it particularly easy for the average person to know what's going on. It's another for them to be actively fighting against what Citizen Lab
Correct.
and Coastin and others are going to be doing. And I just don't want to get locked into that space where we already view them that way unless we're absolutely there. And
Right.
I'm hoping that that's not the case because, frankly, you know, they are the greatest entity when it comes to security engineering on Earth, and they deserve that credit. There is no need for them to be acting in a genuinely limiting fashion when it comes to security research. They need it, and
They
they
have a
don't
threat
like the.
intel team. They have hunting teams in there. Like we know this. No?
I mean, they do. They absolutely do. They have Seer and everything, and like we now, we have friends over there, but at the same time, it's such a weird, obfuscated, like hidden org. And what they produce is so inaccessible to anybody who doesn't work there that I'm not saying they're not doing their jobs. I'm just saying that I don't know what their job looks like. Like, I don't know if the priority is finding these things or if the
Right.
priority is profiling companies like NSO. I don't know if the priority is tracking developers of exploits or if the priority is keeping track of threat actors that are using these sorts of tools. And we've seen it over the past 10 years at Apple where they have been willing to shift those remits in really drastic ways where you go, whoa, like that is not industry standard. It's not what we would expect from you. It's not what people are asking of you. And yet, that's the sole focus of the one team that you have put on this thing. So, they're willing to be quite obtuse and quite, Apple-y in their way of doing things.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that they have all kinds of wonderful justifications for the choices that they make. At the same time, we're in a new era of Seer and a new era of some of these places. And I like to leave the door open because I think a lot of the time what ends up happening is a company like Apple is fucking weird. They have a fucking weird culture. Within that fucking weird culture, personalities get to have an outsized impact without a lot of pushback. So my hope is if the personalities of the past that have made choices that I personally think are mistakes and clearly have been mistakes in some of their results, if those people are gone or they're less powerful or they've receded or they've retired or
Yeah.
they're enjoying their horses and
The
like whatever it
cycle
is
of
that they
crap, yeah.
do, then I'm hoping that means that some other voice gets to walk up and go, hey, why don't we do this, totally innovative, reasonable thing everybody was asking us to do in the first place. So I just don't want to paint them into a box where I'm like, yo, these people are never going to be,
Yeah, but they're
good
still
or.
going to be Appley. I mean, people have asked Ivan Kirstich about this on Twitter, like specifically tagged him. No answer whatsoever. And I know he reads everything on Twitter because he's pinged me about stuff I've said on Twitter,
Well,
right? Like, here's the
if
thing. Why do we have to find out from iVerify in some kind of like, shit, by the way, guys, did you guys notice this? Versus, okay, there's a justification, there's a
well,
reason. Apple is a company and Sear is this modern, forward looking, technical security research operation. Like, do better. Like,
I mean, that's precisely why you have to find out because Apple is Apple in its own fucking weirdness, right? And there's a
yeah,
reason even Ivan, as senior as he is, as established as he is, and as successful as he is within Apple, is not comfortable tweeting and replying to
true,
things that you're
true.
saying.
He's
So
running away
how
from
is
coming on this podcast. Like,
he's not I
what's
mean
so hard about?
he's not
Come on,
running
what's so
away
hard about
from it.
coming on here and having a chat with us like grown men having coffee? Like,
Nothing except that look, that's not Ivan's fault. That's Apple's fault.
he's a
Apple
grown man. I mean,
He is
you're
a
a
grown
grown
man, but
senior man at
look,
Apple, right? Like,
he's a grown senior man, but I'm not telling him that he should give up $20 million in RSUs to come have a fucking
ah,
conversation with us.
man, come
And
on.
that's the problem. The problem there is the company. It's not Ivan. If it look
The
like I
company is the people in the company, though, right? They were quick to send Craig to tell us that we're wrong about see some stuff with his like sweaty armpits, but like, you know what I mean? Like they know how to
Greg
come
is
out and use the media for what they want to say. But when people have legitimate, simple questions, and like it wouldn't be an adversarial podcast if he comes on this show. We'll ask him the questions that
well,
people are asking, and we'll take his answers at face value. Like,
it's not like he's going on other podcasts and not coming on this podcast.
his
Like they
keynoting
they just
conferences to do promotion for like his memory integrity.
they don't let them talk, dude. They don't let these people tweet in peace. Nobody has a personality
Pushback.
publicly.
So push back.
I do think
If you're getting all this shit from dumbasses on podcasts like us, like push back internally.
I do agree that they should push back. I do think that look, that is a fault of Apple that I think it does not
It's
stand the test of
bullshit.
time.
It's fucking
It's not
bullshit.
anything excusable. I don't and it's the reason that a lot of us have never been willing to go work at Apple. Like I think I would have more of a public profile if I worked at the fucking NSA than if I worked at Apple.
Juanito,
And
you know
that's
that Apple and its people lean on us to validate what they do and the things that they do, and they back channel you for all this stuff. But as soon as you ask for any sort of information publicly, it's like
yeah.
Apple doesn't allow us to talk. So go away and stop trying to influence us with all this shit. That's my
Yeah.
take.
Not only do they lean on that, I don't know how much of what Sear and these other teams report and discuss is just built, like how much of it starts with them and ends up with Citizen Lab, let's say, versus how much starts with Citizen Lab and ends up at Apple getting fixed. And I think that's the part where discounting real hunting and the value of it and the importance of like doing threat intel proper, not pretending that you're above it or that it has no value, which is what they did for years. I think that's something you get away with when you just essentially obfuscate where the gains came from. You just pretend that that never happened here or there, and it's maybe just a thing that we already knew about that, or we figured it out, or we told them about it, or it's already fixed. Like sure, but we know you left a lot of gains on the table. And we know that because any other company would be desperate to say, "We found this tiny sliver of a thing. Do you have more? Do you have more? Do you have anything else? Do you
Isn't
know
that
where
how?
this
Yeah.
came from?" They don't do that. They just don't.